let's just sew whatever. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are making the mini size Mercury backpack. It is so cute. I definitely would say this is a small backpack, but I wouldn't call it a mini backpack necessarily. Compared to the regular size Mercury, it is definitely mini. I love this backpack so much. We added the back zippered pocket. We have these double-sided straps. We have the side pockets. We used woven fabric for these side adjusters, side cinchers that just look so cute. You can just secure that bag a little bit more and it makes this really fun shape. Side pocket again, and then it has this front zippered pocket that's kind of like a recessed hidden pocket. So even if you were to like leave it open, it's still not super obvious that it's a pocket, and it just comes together super easily. There is the bottom of the bag. I didn't add purse feet, but you definitely could. This is a nice size for purse feet. I'm gonna be honest, maybe I cut it wrong. I don't know. I would, if I make this again, probably lower this, make this strap shorter, and add two of them so that there's two grab handles. It's not bad with just the one, but I just love little grab handles. I don't know what it is. I just love little grab handles. Little babies. So the inside has a slip pocket and then a zipper with overlay. This is interfaced with SoFuse and SoFuse Plus. I don't know if I used SoFuse, it was just sitting around, it was just a woven interfacing, but I know I used SoFuse Plus instead of Decaville Light, and it really gave it really good structure without being too heavy. So definitely check that out if you are in the market for a Decaville Light substitute. I found a spare thread here. I would probably charge about 120 to 130 for the mini size of this backpack. I'll have to check and see how long it took me to sew, but I'm guessing about 2 hours. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you're not subscribed already, I would love if you would do so. And let's make this bag. Starting with the backpack straps, they are double-sided, so this takes forever. But it gives a really nice look. I'm starting by adding double-sided tape down the center, folding the long raw edges into the center, and then laying them on top of each other, top stitching 1/8 of an inch away from the accent fabric. So I've got my straps and my handles out of the way. Those are very time consuming, especially being double-sided, so I was like, let's just get these done. It'll be easier. I'm gonna go ahead and get my connector triangles made. So I've got my connector pieces very well interfaced. I'm adding double-sided tape to the center. And I don't see a reason you couldn't kind of copy the way the large one is made with the locking slide or the ladder locks, etc. if you really wanted to. I am using the 1-inch rectangle rings and regular 1-inch sliders for this version of the bag, basically following the directions. Where'd it go? All right, so I'm gonna sew down either side of these connector pieces. Put my stitch length back to 55. I am using the Amon Serafil thread that I purchased in person at Sunny Sewing. I'm not sure if this is on their website, and I don't know if it's truly great for bag making, if I'm being honest. When I talked to Sam, he said it was good for upholstery, so I know that it's strong, but it seems like it will not fray is the word, but like you definitely have to seal the ends if they're not enclosed, you know what I mean? Like it seems to want to, I guess, fray, but it feels so soft through my machine. Like I'm loving that. Anyway, so that's the thread that I'm using. It is a Tex 90, so it's still really strong, thick, good for top stitching, but I don't know if it's the best for bag making. I just really liked the color, and I like that it's a really small spool. That's the one downside to industrial thread, is that they're such large spools. All right, so marked 1 inch from the top edge, added some double-sided tape, and we're gonna fold the edge down. This is a really fun method of adding the back connectors. That's one of my favorite things about trying so many different patterns, is seeing what method people are using for putting together their patterns. All right, so I'm folding that in half. And the pattern does give measurements of where to add everything so that you can refer to that if need be. Using double-sided tape just to really help me hold everything in place. Peeling that up, and this gets folded in to that seam. And then we're going to top stitch twice. And then we're going to trim across to create the triangle. So there is that connector piece. And just repeat that on the other side. This is my second time making this pattern, first time making this size. So I'm gonna go a little bit quicker through everything, since I kind of know what I'm doing now. It's kind of nice. Okay, so there are those pieces. Just gonna set them aside and move on to the front panel. So again, when I interfaced this, I forgot, I don't know if I forgot, I just didn't, cut out the box for my zipper pocket, but because I didn't use any intense stabilizers, it shouldn't be a problem. So I've got my flap piece, my flap stabilizer, and then I need my front top lining, which is an 8" by 10.5" piece. That's 10 by 9, so that ain't it. Who are you? That's my bottle sleeve. I didn't cut out the bottle sleeve. Or I guess I did, but I didn't know I did. So for the bottle sleeve, you're gonna fold that in half in this direction and top stitch across the top. So I'm gonna clip that, but set it aside for later. I don't wanna look at that right now. Can't look at you. All right, that's 12. This is my interior slip pocket. So this gets right sides together, clipped along the top edge. So I guess we'll just go over all the lining pieces together really quick. That's gonna get an accent vinyl piece. Goodness gracious. These two pieces are the same size and are for the zipper pocket with the overlay. Side pieces, back panel. Here we go. They're even labeled. Look at that. So just reverse engineer the back and you'll be good. So this is going to be a 6.5 by 1/2 inch pocket piece. So this way looks like up to me. So I'm going to fold this in half. Just get my center mark. And fold this one in half as well. We're going to measure 1 inch down from the top. And 3/4 in from the side edges. And then a 1/2 inch box. If you're using a smaller zipper tape, you can adjust the box size accordingly. All right, make sure that your iron is on because we're gonna need that. And then this piece gets placed 1.5 inches from the top edge. So I'm going to use my ruler here and line that up. And then it shows that you can use like a masking tape to hold your fabric in place. I'm going to use clips along that bottom edge. Lost my bobbin thread. I do have a video making the large size as well as cutting out the large size version of this backpack. It's very domestic friendly. It would just depend on what materials you use and how you interface it, but the way it's explained to interface and laid out, I don't think you'd have a problem, except on bulkier areas. But top stitching was really easy. So I think if you're looking for a fun challenge and you believe in yourself, you would really enjoy this pattern. Especially if we're making it together right now. Glad you chose it. flip this through. And then I'm gonna press this really well using my iron. You could absolutely leave off the front flap piece if you wanted to, but it is kind of a fun challenge and a new skill. I did not attach all of my zipper pulls to start, so I'm gonna do that really quick. And there are a total of 5 zippers, so you need a total of 5 zipper pulls. Very expertly designed bag, as a lot of sellers of hardware put their zipper pulls in packs of 5. So, perfect. Okay, so my 8-inch zipper, yep, is for my front pocket. And then there are a bunch of zippers that are pretty similarly sized, so I'm just gonna take one of those for now and set my other ones aside. Make sure that you're nicely pressed here. Set that aside, and we're gonna grab the flap piece. And I did this method for the other one as well. Instead of putting right sides together, I just added a piece of double-sided tape, like 1/4 inch wide double-sided tape, because it is a pretty small seam allowance, to create that front flap. I'm gonna lay the stabilizer in place and fold the edges in over top of that. And then this gets folded in half and top stitched all the way around. It's so freaking cute. Can't handle it. All right, we're gonna fold that in half, snip the center, and then we're gonna fold our zipper in half to mark out the center there as well. And then I'm gonna add 1/8 inch wide double-sided tape to the top of it. I'm gonna baste it all together first. Make sure your zipper pull is out of the way. And then we'll add double-sided tape to the top edge there, and to the bottom edge underneath the flap. And like I said, the flap is pretty optional, but it does look really nice on the bag. it creates this really nice theme to the bag with how it's laid out. I love it. The bag is very aesthetically pleasing to look at. So the flap goes through that opening, and then we'll lay this in place. And then you kind of lift up the flap to see underneath. We'll peel off that other double-sided tape. Make sure that your teeth are lined up nicely in the window. Press that all together. And then I'm going to start sewing at the top, around the bottom, and then pull my zipper pull back in. And then lift that flap up and out of the way. If you need to kind of resituate so that your zipper is centered, now is a good time. Oh, and then push your zipper pull back on. Back through. It shouldn't have fallen off. Should be able to lay your flap down. Make sure your zipper pulls out of the way. Finish that off. And make sure that you've caught all the zipper tape. Make sure your flap is out of the way, put where it should be, however you want to go about that. We're going to fold the bottom edge up to the top, and then we're going to sew in a U shape starting here, going up, down, around, moving the exterior fabric out of the way. As we go. And then this piece is complete. I like to keep my zipper pull in the center so that it doesn't get close to either edge of the bag. And now we can work on the bottom panel. This is a really fun one. It's kind of unique to me, probably not to anybody else. But we're gonna grab our zipper ends, fold them in half, and then the long raw edges in towards the middle. These should not have any interfacing. You really want them to be as lightweight as possible. So that they aren't adding a bunch of bulk, and this pocket can be a little bit more low profile as it's meant to be. I'm gonna grab my lighter and just hit the edges of my zipper tape. So they don't fray. Darn. I thought with the way I'd like clipped along the sides, I could just insert, yeah, okay, cool. Like a little pocket. So cute. right, so there are the zipper ends attached. And then we'll sew those into place. Make sure to backstitch at the zipper tape and then finish sewing. You're gonna be trimming off the excess zipper tab, so you don't want to have any construction stitches coming undone. And those zipper tabs are the size they are so that there's no confusion when folding it, which side is which. It's a nice square, easy to cut. And zipper tapes can vary in width, so it's really smart to just keep it a nice, generous size. That on both sides. Adding double-sided tape on either top edge of the zipper so that I can place it nicely. I'm not going to mark out that 7/8 inch line. I don't have a disappearing pen that I trust, but the interfacing really makes it easy to top stitch it and know that you're doing it in the right place. So I'm not going to worry about that. I am going to center this though. So the edge with a 1 inch distance from the stabilizer to the top is where you're going to be adding this. So I've got that taped in place. I'm going to add another piece of double-sided tape to attach the lining side. Then we're going to sew along that top edge. Make sure to move your zipper pull out of the way if need be. And then we're going to flip this open and top stitch only on the lining piece through the exterior seam allowance, etc. So it's kind of opposite of what you would think to do. But it helps keep your lining out of the way as you're opening and closing this zipper pocket piece. So I'm going to add a piece of double-sided tape to the back of the zipper too, because intuitively you can guess you're going to be adding the other side of your lining to that area. So make sure they're facing right sides together. I'm gonna flip that back around and we're gonna be adding the top front panel. So make sure that you're laying everything in the right direction. So right now I've got this face up, that is the top of the bag, and I'm gonna lay it down so that it's in the opposite direction. But when it's reverse engineered, it will go back to the top. And you want to make sure this seam allowance is fairly consistent. I'm unzipping my zipper to start so that I don't have a crooked front panel. Okay, getting close to my zipper pull. So I'm going to zip that back up and finish sewing that seam. And then we're going to flip it over and open the lining. And just like we did for the other side, you're only going to be sewing through the lining and the seam allowance. Okay. So you'll see when we open it up, our zipper is placed. A spare piece of fabric. Goodbye. Okay. And now we're going to create that top stitched front pocket. What are all these threads? Just little fraying interfacing. All right. So you can feel where that Decaville Light or I use Sofuse Plus is, and that is where we're going to top stitch. So I'm just going to fold that, make sure it's nicely creased, and top stitch. And now you can see it creates this like hidden front pocket. You want to make sure that your lining panels are laying right on top of each other, right sides together. So right here, those lining pieces, you want them to touch. You don't want it to be off by ½ an inch or anything like that. You want that panel to be sitting like that. So it's kind of hidden, and then you're like, oh, there it is. It's so fun. So we're gonna sew along the bottom edge of these lining pieces to close that off. This is where I'm gonna add my woven label as well. And then we're gonna double check that everything's looking good. And this is where if you had used interfacing or a vinyl for those zipper tabs, it would be really hard to baste these side panels together. Okay, so I'm good 13 inches tall on both sides, so I don't need to do any trimming. My side panels should fit nicely. I'm just trimming all those extra threads away. And that is it for our front panel. The front panel doesn't have that same grab handle that the large size backpack does. You probably could add it if you wanted to. I kind of want to, but I won't. So we've got this front flap here. We've got that zipper pocket there. Move your zipper pulls into the center before you move on. It'll just help keep everything out of the way later. I think we're moving on to the back panel. So I'm going to be adding the zippered pocket to the back panel. Yep. And then this is my overlay piece. I'm also going to be needing this. So before I even go too far, I'll go ahead and tape my overlay. I'll probably time lapse through adding the back zippered pocket. It's the same kind of process as that front piece, that front pocket. We're just not adding a flap. I'm debating on if I want to add foam to the back panel or not. It was really nice having it on the large size, but this is a mini backpack, so it doesn't need foam. I think it will be fine with all that it has going on. I think it'll be fine. All right. Okay, time to make the back strap connector. My straps are so pretty, I can't even handle it. So I'm gonna make a really gentle mark across there and then down 1 1/4. I'm actually gonna go a little less than 1 1/4 so that you don't see my marking lines. And then we're gonna measure 2 inches out from the center. So 5 is the center. And then I'll measure 1 inch over and 1 inch under. So 4 inches in from either side basically. And 3/8 of an inch up from that. And then that is where our grab handle will be placed. So I'm going to grab 2 pieces of double-sided tape to place outside of those 1 inch marks. Next to the 1 inch. So like that. And then you can add those box stitches if you'd like. I'm just gonna do 2 parallel lines. I am confident in my machine's hold. All right, and then we're gonna take our straps and we're going to mirror the angled cuts. Mirrored. And I'm going to grab 2 more pieces of double-sided tape. And these will be placed right next to our grab handle. And they'll be placed so that they angle out. Like that. will do 2 lines of stitching for these as well. Oh my gosh, this combo is so pretty. I was a little skeptical about my choices, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. All right, so more double-sided tape. Why don't I just get more hooks for double-sided tape, and then we'll be fine. So this gets centered over all of that in between those marked out lines. Oh gosh, look at how beautiful. Oh. Can't. That is correct. To add a second row of stitching here. Gorgeous. And now we can add our triangle connectors along the bottom edge, 3/4 of an inch up. Make sure they are mirrored along either side. Clip those into place. If you're adding like sew in foam or anything like that, now would be a good time. You can see they're angled in towards each other, and we'll base that down. And so there is our back panel. Zipper pull in the middle. Time for the side panels. I, again, did not realize that my pattern printed out incorrectly, so my side pockets are going to be a little bit small. It will be fine, but I'm going to sew across that top edge. Open that. Ooh. Top stitch. picks this color thread. It blends into the vinyl very nicely, so you won't be able to tell that I lost my bobbin. Lost the bobbin war. Bobbin war 2022. Nobody needs to know. Alright, so these can get basted onto the side panels now. Stay stitched, basted, whatever you want to call it. That's the bottom, that's the bottom. Ooh, it's gonna be kind of fun. There's like no flowers or no dice on this side. Interesting. Okay, so these are a 3D effect pocket, so you want to bring the edges in to match. You can see there, we've got a nice side pocket. Based in place along the bottom edge. Okay, and then we can move on to these side pieces. So these are going to get folded in half. So I don't have any 3/4 inch wide webbing, so I just decided I will use my woven fabric for these pieces. I think it'll look really nice. You could also have used vinyl if it isn't too thick, of course. Oh, it's gonna be kind of fun because my large size I feel like is very dramatic in contrast, and this one has more of the exterior fabric used versus the contrast fabric. So I'm just using that double-sided tape to fold the long raw edges in towards the middle. We don't need to top stitch this or anything. We just need to measure a 3-inch line from one edge on either piece and cut that off. And then we'll grab our 4 3/4 inch wide D-rings. Alright, we do want to top stitch this piece. That makes sense. I like that. Glad to hear. What happened? Where'd the bobbin go? Where'd you go, bobbin? So I think with this thread being so much softer, my bobbin tension is just a little bit off. I'm not touching it. It's not that bad. Knock on wood. All right, now we can add our D-rings. Both D-rings are going to be through this one piece. Like that. And now this piece gets folded in half and top stitched along either side so that there's only one raw edge, and that gets sewn into your side seam. I don't know why, but for me I was like, oh, well that's genius. Yeah. Okay. So now we'll place these face up on the table. And this gets placed 2 3/4 from either side at the bottom. So I'm gonna measure 2 3/4 from the top edge, making a mark. Is that all right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was just making sure it's the same for the large size and the small size. And you want to mirror these, go underneath that marked line. So on one side, I am attaching the piece without D-rings, and then on the other side, I am attaching the piece with D-rings. And then we want to do the opposite on the other piece. And then they get slid through both D-rings over one through the other. It creates this cute little belt, basically. And I definitely prefer the look of this with cotton fabric versus webbing, I believe. gonna trim off all of our threads really quick. And then we'll set those aside. I'm not gonna baste my bottom panel pieces or anything like that. Just gonna set that aside for now and work on our interior. So we'll go ahead and start on the bottle sleeve. Just sewing across that top edge, pulling it through. And then I will press this with my iron. Top stitch the top edge and the bottom edge. I guess I don't really need my iron for it. And now my interior slip pocket, double-sided tape and my ruler. We're gonna measure center line, which is 1/2 inch. I'm going to peel off both pieces of double-sided tape. Not very well, apparently. We're going to lay the top raw edge of that slip pocket to the center line. And then fold that over the top. And top stitch. Gonna add a woven label to this part. This one says this bag is a natural 20. So I'm just peeling up that overlay, sliding that under, laying it in place. Oh, look at that vinyl. Oh my gosh. Double check that the back side you've caught everything as well. And then unlike the large size, there's going to be one slip pocket and one zippered pocket on either piece. And that gets placed 1.5 inches up from the bottom edge. I'm gonna do 2 inches up. It just feels really low for the mini. I'm not gonna be adding any dividing lines. It's not a very large pocket, so I don't think it's necessary. while I'm here, I'm gonna add double-sided tape to this part because it's gonna get folded over and taped anyway at the top. So there is one of my lining panels. Set that aside. And then I'll grab one of my side panels and add the bottle pocket. I'm gonna keep it consistent and measure 2 inches up for this piece as well. And just base that in place. And then same for this side panel. It gets folded open and taped, so I'm just gonna add double-sided tape to the top while I'm looking at it. Repeat that on the other side panel. You could add 2 bottle pockets if you wanted, or you could add that like sunglass pocket to one side. So those are ready to go. Beans. I have to fold the top edge of the side panels. That's right. I forgot. All right, so all that's left is our inner zipper pocket. Yay. Press. I'm going to fold this in half, press, and for this one you'll want the 1/8 inch wide double-sided tape. Along the outside edge. That seems about right. Supposed to be what, 3.5 inches down? Oh, pretty good. Oh, hey, who turned out the lights? Can you guys tell it's like 9:10? Is it only 9:10? My word, I'm old. All right, I am adding a woven label to that overlay. I think it'll be cute. I'm handcrafted, take care of me. It really feels like the bag is pleading with you. It's like, please, please, please take care of me. All right, we're gonna sew along the outermost edge of this overlay. And then we'll trim away the excess fabric. inside of there. So I'm just taking my seam ripper. Seam ripper, I hardly know her. Voila, voila. And then we're going to sew the lining to our zipper, both sides, so that they are right sides up with the zipper. So zipper attached, right side up, and zipper attached. I usually like to make sure that my zipper is a little bit longer than my fabric, but it'll be fine. And now I'm going to iron this flat so that my lining fabric isn't like bunching up like that. It just lays nice and flat. Now it is sitting nice and flat. Add double-sided tape to the zipper. Whoa! Come on, little buddy. Okay. Is it back on, or does it just seem like it's back on? It just seems like it's back on. I don't think it's back on. Oh, it's back on. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to lay that over top, making sure it's nicely centered and you've got an equal amount of zipper and fabric on either side of that opening. I like my zipper pull out of the way. Thank you. Press that down, and then we'll sew around the inside opening. I'm pushing my zipper pull back in to place. Now we can close that pocket up completely. No, we can't, because this is where we finish sewing the bag. So I'll trim off that little 1/2 inch excess, fold the bottom edge up, sew along each side of that pocket. All right, that is all of the steps completed. The bag is done. Great job. Oh wait, no, I'm gonna put it all together. Okay. Okay. All right, grabbing all of our side panels. We want to measure 1 inch from the top down and fold that over. Both sides. I know I've gotten comments in the past about like more people would watch your videos if they didn't take so long. And for those of you who have commented saying like, well, this is how long a bag takes, so there you go. I appreciate you. But I'm just thinking like how misled I would feel personally watching a video about a bag and it being like 15 minutes long, you know? But I guess if you don't sew and you're just watching for fun, that's a different story, because you're like, well, I'm here to be entertained, not to be educated. I don't know. Like, how would I feel? Making the large version of this bag took me probably 3.5 hours of sewing, maybe 4, honestly. And for my business and the way I sell bags, that isn't a time that is affordable to my customer base. So if you sell bags for a living, just keep that in mind. Like, there definitely will be customers that would purchase this bag and pay the price. The mini backpack definitely seems to be going quicker, but you want items in an affordable price range that are still luxurious feeling and seeming, etc. It's a fine balance, it really is. All right, I'm gonna put the exterior of this bag together first. I just think it'll go really fast. I'm right here. It's 3/4 of an inch from the bottom edge of the lining and 1/2 inch in. I'm gonna switch my stitch length down to a 4. side panel. Make sure that you understand these layers are different sizes. These pieces are different sizes. So your side panels are going to be shorter. Make sure your tops are at the top. And backstitch a decent amount at the top, but don't go overboard. And then make sure you're trimming away your extra threads. And this bag style is definitely easier once you understand how it's constructed. So there's that side panel, and then we'll just connect all of that. Oh. All right, go away. And then I'm going to grab one of the bottom panels now. To attach. And that's just so I know where it is later. It's on the bag. I don't have to look around for it. And I highly recommend tracing out that seam allowance as directed. I've just done so many bags this style that I can generally just eyeball that seam allowance. All right, so there is my lining completed, and I can turn this right sides out because that's going to get placed inside the exterior of the bag. I am not gonna worry about taping my seam allowances down yet. I'll wait until I'm ready to put everything together, but I am gonna grab 1/2 inch wide double-sided tape for the front, for the large lining panels, because it'll hold better than the 3/8 inch will. So double-sided tape, double-sided tape. Should have double-sided tape on every seam. And I'm just gonna set that aside for now. I never added my slide adjuster hardware, etc. So I guess I'll go ahead and do that now. I'm sliding it through the center bar and then through that square ring. And then I'm gonna go up, over, back down. And then you can rivet that in place or sew it together. I'm gonna add a rivet in a little bit. But make sure that you've got a nice continuous loop that isn't twisted. I have done that more than I care to admit. Oh. These colors together are just so pretty, if I do say so myself. And I did, and I do, so I did. Yeah. Okay. So there is the back panel. Got my back panel, front panel, side panels. Side panels are taped as they should be. So we can line these up on the front panel. Your side pockets should meet up with your zipper pocket on the front. However, mine won't because I printed the pattern wrong. So I'm going to make sure that I keep it consistent on either side since I know they won't line up. And I'm just checking that by clipping it together and opening the side seam, and it looks like it's down by like 1/4 of an inch, which isn't bad. If anything, it's good. It helps kind of reduce the bulk. Oh, it's so pretty. Yeah, I'm really glad I didn't do all vinyl for that part. I didn't do any vinyl for that part. But I think it really helps that vinyl pop. 1/2 inch seam allowance. You should be sewing next to, but not through your zipper tabs, and then stop 1/2 inch. You're basically like starting and stopping at the stabilizer piece. And then we'll add our back panel. One side attached, and we'll work on the other. Grab our bottom panel. I really love the size of this so far. Definitely a good backpack size as far as like everyday. But not through the stabilizer. Alright, so we're just going to repeat that step on the other side. Make sure your panels stay lined up. And then to finish it off, you're gonna fold the side panel and the bottom panel down together, clip those in place, and make a straight line that will connect your other stitching lines. And repeat on the other side as well. And then I'll trim away the excess fabric. And just look in and make sure you caught all the corners of your bag. You can give little pokes just to verify. But that is the exterior nearly completed. Now we just need to add the double-sided tape to all of those seams and work on adding the top zipper. Oh, haha, go me. So adding that double-sided tape to that seam there, to there, haha. What a nice gift from past me. She's so sweet. And then we're gonna fold them open and press down. And if you need to, clip them to help hold, but this tape's pretty strong. And you're really going to be testing your seams here. So make sure that you've backstitched or pulled your threads through around these areas. I have cut my zipper tape for the top of this bag longer than it calls for. With the large size, I just felt like having a little extra wiggle room would have been nice so that I didn't lose my zipper pull, and I know for a fact I wasn't going to, just to keep that in mind. So while I'm here, I'm gonna mark out 3/8 of an inch from the right side, 3/4 of an inch from the right side. Ah, beans, that's the back, okay. 3/8 on this side, 3/4 on this side. And you want to make sure they're mirrored markings, not the same. Okay. And I'm gonna add 1/8 inch wide double-sided tape across the span of that. Okay, that's my back panel. So the back panel has 3/4 of an inch on the right side and and 3/8 of an inch on the left side. And then the front has 3/8 of an inch to start, and 3/4 at the end. So that is what we're looking at. Now I need to grab my zipper. My last zipper. And we're gonna be squaring off or rounding off the corners. Take 2 clips and my lighter. This is fun. We're going to open it, line it up so that the edges are flush. And get them melted so that we can fuse the raw edges together. And this eliminates the need for basting. I could never get them to look good that way. You just want to make sure you don't burn yourself. So I usually press it up against my lighter. And it's just a really subtle like pinch. Boop. And you can do this to start and then just leave it clipped. Hopefully it dries together even better. Let's go ahead and tape open these seams before we get finished. We're like in the home stretch. We're almost there. So excited. But I just want to get these in place before I baste my zipper so that we can just move on. I could see myself making more of the mini size of this backpack than I could see myself making the large size of this backpack. I just think the mini is more time efficient. I would probably try to make it, well, I don't know. I really like those padded straps, but I think they might be too much for the small size. All of those are taped open. Set that there. All right, we want to make sure we're looking at the front of the bag when we start because you want all of your zippers to be going in the same direction. Ideally, it's not a requirement. I'm going to tape that in place. Making sure not to stretch the zipper too much or anything like that. And then I'm going to baste it down. Editing Lauren here to say I need to figure out my camera angle. I cut out a few parts where it was like literally just the back of my head, but I can't cut out some of it, so they're not helpful angles. We'll get there someday, right? Until then, sloppy and unprofessional. Okay, basting this in place, you want to trail off at that 3/4 of an inch line. I already basted the other side of the zipper in place because I was checking my phone, etc. So tuck that inside. Make sure all of your extra threads have been snipped. And then we'll grab our lining. Place that inside. I want my zippered, I usually like my zippered pocket to the back side. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to hit you. So right sides together. Probably have to push through all the layers. And then we're only sewing across the top edge. So I don't need to worry about lining up anything else except the top edges. You could use double-sided tape to help you hold this in place if you'd like, but I'm just gonna use some clips. I'm not gonna worry about clipping the other side in place just yet. I'm just gonna sew this side 1 inch from the outer edges so that you don't see where my stitches start and stop. I really need to figure out how I can make this view work all the time. Okay. Lay that down. Ah. Ah. Oh. Didn't break. All right, unclip everywhere. Pull the lining out. And then we've got this large opening in the bottom. So we'll push the bottom through. Pull, push, whatever we have to do to get this baby out. Now before we can top stitch and whatnot, we need to finish sewing the lining. So I'm gonna grab the lining pocket and grab the bottom lining, pull that through. I've already got one side done, so it's gonna go super fast. Just line those up. Clip, clip. And then it is a 3/4 inch seam allowance. Flatten the side panel. And then we'll push that back in. Oh my gosh, it's so stinking cute. We'll fold that down and close that up. All right, and I'm gonna change my bobbin because I need to top stitch soon. I feel like we would have just made it, but I'm not risking it. Yeah, we would have made it. That's okay. I'd rather have one that I know will get me through. If you do not trust your machine with a new bobbin, like you're worried, go ahead and try it on some fabric first. Make sure it looks good, and then you can carry on with top stitching. Press the zipper pocket back in to the bag. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to look at this bag and like really look at it, you know? I feel like when I'm filming a tutorial, I don't really look at the bag until the end. I don't really get to like sit and admire it. Okay, so now we're gonna line. You want your seams to be facing out, butterflied. Any loose threads, etc., poke them in or trim them away. We'll line everything up. You could use double-sided tape if you need to across that side panel to keep everything in place. Pull and massage the zipper so that the lining is flat and out of the way. And repeat lining up these side panels. Oh, that goes this way. Oh my gosh. I have to top stitch it still and I don't want to. I just really love it. Oh my gosh. So cute. Okay, we got top stitch. Okay, I'm gonna start across the back panel. And make sure you can feel your lining and your exterior. Top stitch through both. And this panel difference isn't quite as drastic as the large size, so this might be trickier to sew together. So just go slow, pivoting at the corners and making sure your pieces line up. Reinforce that pivot section. Be careful to make sure you're only sewing through the pieces you should be sewing through. And I'm definitely making this look easier than it is. I've made many bags with this kind of shape, so I apologize for that. But it is such a fun shape, very high fashion. Michael Kors, I don't know that Michael Kors is like high fashion, very high end. Okay, and then just making sure it's a nice flat seam before we finish the bag. All that's left for me to do is add rivets to my straps and add the zipper end hardware. That's it. I also didn't film an outro for this video. I did add those things. You saw it in the beginning. Turned out pretty good, right? All right, great job. I hope your bag looks just as good, if not insanely better. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.